Immature love says, I love you because I need you. Mature love says, I need you because I love you. These words, penned by Erich Fromm, hang in the air like a quiet challenge, a gentle tremor beneath the surface of our most cherished, yet often most perplexing, human experience. We speak of love as if it were a force of nature, an unforeseen current that sweeps us away, a dazzling treasure we stumble upon, or a fate we are simply meant to encounter. We yearn for it with a primal ache, celebrate its arrival with breathless joy, and mourn its departure with profound despair. Yet in this universal longing, a curious paradox often hides. Why does something so deeply desired, so universally sought, so profoundly transformative, often feel so elusive, so fragile, so misunderstood? Perhaps the very language we use to describe love betrays a fundamental misconception. We fall in love as if into a ditch or a dream. We find love as if it were a lost object or a hidden gem. We look for love as if it were outside ourselves, waiting to be discovered, complete and pre-packaged. This passive vocabulary, deeply ingrained in our culture, subtly shapes our expectations, leading us to believe that love is primarily a matter of luck, destiny, or finding the right person. We are taught, implicitly or explicitly, that once found, love will sustain itself, that it will effortlessly blossom and endure, demanding little more than our presence. We become consumers of love, waiting to be filled, to be made whole, to be rescued by its benevolent power. But what if this pervasive understanding, this deeply held assumption of love as a passive state, a fortunate accident, or a mere feeling, is precisely what undermines its potential for lasting depth and genuine fulfillment? What if the reason so many relationships falter, so many hearts break, and so much yearning remains unfulfilled, stems from a fundamental misdirection of our energy and intention? We invest immense effort in preparing for a career, mastering a skill, or building a home, recognizing that these endeavors require discipline, practice, and continuous learning. Yet when it comes to love, the most profound and intricate of human connections, we often expect it to simply arrive, fully formed, requiring no cultivation, no artistry, no active engagement beyond the initial spark. This script invites us to pause, to look beyond the shimmering veil of romantic cliches and societal narratives, and to question the very bedrock of our understanding of love. It asks us to consider a radical, yet ancient proposition, that love is not merely an emotion we feel, nor a person we find, but an activity we undertake. It is a verb, not a noun, a practice, not a possession. This perspective shifts the focus from being loved to loving, from receiving to giving, from needing to actively engaging. It suggests that the profound connection we crave is not something that happens to us, but something we create, through conscious effort, intentional action, and a deep commitment to growth. We will embark on a journey that challenges the conventional wisdom, exploring the idea that love, in its most mature and life-affirming form, is not a state of blissful dependency, but a dynamic, demanding, and ultimately liberating art. It is a craft that requires mastery, a discipline that cultivates character, and a continuous process of self-transcendence. This is not a guide to finding love, but an invitation to become a more capable, more conscious, more profound lover. It asks us to look inward, to examine our own hearts and habits, and to consider what it truly means to engage with another soul, not out of a void of need, but from a wellspring of being. Let us question our inherited notions and open ourselves to a more active, more potent, and perhaps a more demanding vision of love. The journey ahead will ask us to reimagine what it means to connect, to care, and to commit. It will invite us to move beyond the superficial and the transactional, towards a deeper appreciation of love as a generative force that shapes not only our relationships, but also the very essence of who we are. It is a path that calls for courage, for vulnerability, and for a willingness to see love not as a destination, but as a continuous, evolving creation. Let us begin to unearth the active heart of love, the part that demands our full presence, our deepest understanding, and our most profound humanity. Fundamentally, this philosophical framing posits that love is not a spontaneous eruption of feeling, nor a fleeting emotional state, but a sustained orientation of one's entire being, a specific mode of relating to the world and to others. It is, at its essence, a proactive engagement, a deliberate choice to invest oneself deeply and continuously. This perspective elevates love from a mere passive reception of affection or a fleeting surge of passion into a dynamic art form, demanding skill, discipline, and profound understanding. It necessitates a shift in focus from being loved to loving, from the desire to acquire to the commitment to generate. At the heart of this active love lie four interconnected pillars: care, responsibility, respect, and knowledge. To truly love, one must first care. This isn't a vague sentiment, but an active concern for the life and growth of the beloved, whether that beloved is another person, a cause, or even oneself. Imagine the meticulous attention a potter gives to shaping clay, ensuring its form and integrity, or the unwavering dedication of a scientist nurturing an experiment, providing the precise conditions for its development. This care is not possessive. It seeks the well-being and flourishing of the other for their own sake, not as a means to one's own gratification. It is a vigilant, tender attentiveness, recognizing the inherent fragility and preciousness of what is loved. Building on this, however, is the concept of responsibility. This is not the burden of obligation, but a voluntary and active response to the expressed and unexpressed needs of the beloved. It is the capacity to respond, to be present, to offer support without being asked, to anticipate and address the conditions necessary for growth. Consider a skilled musician who doesn't just play the notes but listens intently to the ensemble, adjusting their rhythm and tone to enhance the collective harmony. Their responsibility isn't a chore, it's an integral part of their artistic expression. Similarly, in active love, responsibility is a joyful acknowledgement of connection, a willingness to be there, to step forward when needed, and to contribute to the vitality of the relationship. Crucially, this activity of loving is inextricably linked to respect. To respect in this context means to see the other person as they are, to acknowledge their unique individuality, and to accept them in their distinctiveness. It implies a profound appreciation for their autonomy, allowing them to grow and unfold according to their own nature, rather than attempting to mold them into an image of one's own desires. Think of a master sculptor who, instead of imposing a preconceived form, studies the raw stone, seeking to reveal the figure already latent within it. Respect in love is precisely this: a deep reverence for the other's independent spirit, an understanding that true connection flourishes not through absorption or control, but through the celebration of distinct entities converging. It acknowledges that the beloved is an end in themselves, never merely a means. Moreover, the fourth pillar, knowledge, underpins and informs all the others. This is not superficial information or a collection of facts about someone, but a profound, empathetic understanding of their inner world. It requires active listening, keen observation, and the courage to delve beneath the surface to perceive the fears, hopes, dreams, and vulnerabilities that shape their being. It's the kind of knowing that comes from shared experience, from patient inquiry, from a willingness to truly see and hear without judgment. Imagine an experienced cartographer who doesn't just chart the obvious landmarks, but meticulously maps the hidden currents, the subtle elevations, the nuanced textures of a landscape. This deep knowledge allows one to care effectively, respond appropriately, and respect genuinely. For without understanding, care can be misguided, responsibility can become intrusive, and respect can devolve into mere tolerance. Consequently, love as an activity is a continuous process of learning, an ongoing journey into the depths of another soul, always seeking to understand more fully, to perceive more clearly, and to connect more authentically. This active pursuit of knowledge is what transforms fleeting attraction into enduring intimacy, grounding the entire endeavor in a rich, evolving reality. Reflecting on this journey through the landscape of human connection, we begin to perceive a convergence, a powerful undercurrent that reshapes our very understanding. The fragmented notions we often harbor about affection and attachment start to coalesce into a more coherent, demanding, yet ultimately more rewarding vision. It's as if we've been examining individual threads, each distinct in its texture and hue, and now, drawing these strands together, we discern the emerging pattern of a much grander tapestry. This isn't merely a redefinition, it's an invitation to a profound reorientation of our deepest relational impulses, guiding us toward a more intentional and generative way of being. The implications of this reorientation are far-reaching. extending beyond the mere mechanics of interaction to touch the very core of our being. What surfaces is not a passive reception of external forces, but an intricate, vital architecture built from within. It speaks to a conscious cultivation, a continuous tending, a persistent effort that belies the simplistic narratives often propagated. This particular mode of engagement demands a certain generosity of spirit, a willingness to extend oneself consistently, and an unwavering commitment to the flourishing of another, not as an extension of oneself, but as an autonomous presence deserving of profound regard. It reveals love not as a fleeting sensation, but as a sustained practice of presence and contribution. In light of these insights, the path forward becomes clearer, albeit more challenging than the comforting illusions of effortless affection. This active embrace of connection necessitates an inner discipline, a refinement of one's own character, and a continuous shedding of the self-serving impulses that often masquerade as genuine attachment. It asks us to look beyond superficial desires and to cultivate a deeper wellspring of being, from which true connection can flow. The conventional wisdom, which often frames love as a fortunate discovery or an external gift, begins to recede, replaced by the compelling truth of its generative nature, its capacity to be created and sustained through intentionality. This profound understanding challenges us to consider our own posture in the world, shifting from a stance of waiting to one of active participation. It suggests that the most enduring and meaningful bonds are not stumbled upon by chance, but are painstakingly, lovingly, and continually forged through a commitment to growth, both individual and shared. This active stance, far from being a burden, becomes a source of immense personal transformation, enriching not only our relationships, but the very fabric of our individual existence. The true essence of this philosophy lies not in prescribing a rigid formula, but in illuminating a richer, more vibrant possibility for how we might live and connect. As we pivot towards the final reflection, consider the profound shift in perspective this journey has already initiated. It moves us from the precariousness of dependency to the robust strength of self-possession, from the anxiety of acquisition to the profound satisfaction of creation. This understanding beckons us to examine our own hearts with renewed clarity, asking what kind of architects we wish to be in the construction of our most intimate worlds. It invites us to consider the profound implications of choosing an active, engaged posture towards the relationships that define us, recognizing that in this continuous act of giving and growing, we discover not just the beloved, but also a more fully realized version of ourselves. The ensuing insight promises to illuminate not just how to love, but why such profound, demanding engagement is the very crucible in which the most authentic and enduring forms of human connection are ultimately refined. As we draw this shared contemplation to a close, a profound shift in perspective has perhaps begun to take root within us. We have journeyed beyond the conventional understanding of love as a mere passive emotion, a serendipitous encounter, or a fleeting sensation that washes over us. Instead, we have glimpsed its deeper truth, love as an intricate, demanding, yet ultimately liberating activity. It is not a treasure to be found, but a masterpiece to be continuously created, a dynamic process that calls upon the deepest reserves of our humanity. This active stance towards love redefines our very relationship with connection. No longer are we mere recipients, waiting for affection to be bestowed upon us, or for a perfect partner to complete our existence. Instead, we are invited to become architects of connection, artisans of intimacy, wielding the tools of conscious care, unwavering responsibility, profound respect, and empathetic knowledge. This is a formidable undertaking, one that demands courage to look inward, to cultivate our own capacity for generosity, and to shed the self-centered impulses that often obscure genuine connection. It requires a willingness to engage, to contribute, and to grow, not just for the sake of the beloved, but for the expansion of our own spirit. The insight that emerges from this journey is not a simple formula for romantic success, but a profound philosophy of living. To love actively is to embrace a posture of engagement with life itself. It means approaching every relationship, with a partner, a friend, a community, or even with oneself, as an ongoing work of art, deserving of our full attention, our deepest intention, and our most honest effort. This perspective transforms love from a precarious dependency into a robust strength, rooted in our own capacity to give, to understand, and to nurture. It shifts the locus of power from external circumstance to internal will, empowering us to shape our relational world with purpose and authenticity. Consider the liberation inherent in this understanding. If love is an activity, then our ability to experience it, to sustain it, and to deepen it lies largely within our own hands. We are not helpless passengers on a tumultuous sea of emotion, but skilled navigators charting a course with deliberate intent. This doesn't diminish the mystery or the magic of love. Rather, it imbues it with a grounded, enduring power. The initial spark of attraction may be a gift, but the enduring flame, the warmth that truly sustains and transforms, is a fire we must continually tend with conscious effort and unwavering devotion. It's in this tending, this active participation, that we discover not only the beloved in their truest essence, but also a more fully realized, more compassionate, and more profound version of ourselves. The true practice begins now, not as a theoretical exercise, but as a living engagement. It calls us to reflect on how we approach our daily interactions, how we listen, how we respond, how we cultivate understanding. It asks us to examine whether our expressions of love are born from a place of genuine giving or from a void of need. For in the final analysis, the wisdom of Erich Fromm's words echoes with renewed clarity. Immature love says, "I love you because I need you." Mature love says, "I need you because I love you." The profound insight here is that when we commit to the active art of loving, when we become the source of care, responsibility, respect, and knowledge, we paradoxically discover our deepest need, the need to continue loving. For in that generative act, we find our most authentic self, our most profound connection, and the very essence of a life truly lived. Let this understanding not be an end but a beginning, an invitation to embrace the ongoing transformative artistry of love in every fiber of our being.